Hey everyone, welcome to another Ioniq Guy video. Today we're talking about upcoming changes for the 2024 Ioniq 5 and what I would like to see. Nothing has been officially announced yet, but we're about a month away from when the 2023 model year changes were announced last year. So I expect to know in the next 6 weeks exactly what kind of changes we're going to see for the 2024 model year. So let's have some fun, let's speculate, let's kind of plan out what I think the Ioniq 5 lineup should look like for the 2024 model year. So if you want to find out what I'm hoping for, stay tuned. So let's talk about what I think should change for 2024. So across all trims of the Ioniq 5, I really would like to see the addition of a rear windshield wiper. Now we know that this is coming with the Ioniq 5N, which is going to be their sporty version of the Ioniq 5, but we don't know if the regular versions of the Ioniq 5 are going to get it. So that'll be interesting to see. A lot of people want a rear wiper, especially my friends up north in Canada who have snow for much more of the year than we do down here in the US. So I really hope we see that across the lineup. I'd also like to see across the lineup wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. Now this is probably a big long shot because other Hyundai vehicles and Kia vehicles still don't have it, so I'm not going to hold my breath on this one, but this one is really something I would like to see. But since this is my wish list, I'm going to put it on there and keep my fingers crossed. Now I'm also hoping that we will see updated infotainment systems in the car. The upcoming Kona Electric has a new software stack in the car, so I hope that we see that come to the Ioniq 5 for the 2024 model year. It's definitely a more modern looking UI versus the system that's in the 2023 model year. And this is a big one. I really hope for 2024 that the Ioniq 5 is going to get the same system that the Ioniq 6 has that allows it to update the drivetrain through over-the-air updates. This is probably the biggest problem with the Ioniq 5 as it stands today, is the fact that if you want anything changed to the drivetrain, like the Eco Mode fix, battery preconditioning that all came out in the last 6 months, you have to schedule an appointment and go to your dealership. The Ioniq 6 has it, so I hope that the Ioniq 5 gets it for 2024. This will save people so much time and frustration. I hear it all the time from people going in to get these technical service bulletins taken care of and arguing with the dealerships about what's supposed to be installed. If it's over the air, it's just going to come to the car and there'll be no questions asked. You'll get what you need when you need it. On all the trims as well, I would like to see them update the powertrain so that the Ioniq 5 no longer needs that low conductivity coolant loop that the Ioniq 6 doesn't have and other EVs don't have. So for those who don't know, this is an extra coolant reservoir under the hood that requires some significant maintenance after 30 or 35,000 miles. I can't remember off the top of my head, but it does have to be flushed and it does have to be replaced, and it is costly. It's not a cheap fluid replacement. So if you're not going to do it yourself and you're bringing it to the dealer, it could add significant cost to owning an Ioniq 5. The Ioniq 6 doesn't have it. So maybe they'll make that change for the 2024 model year for the Ioniq 5. I really hope they do. Now here in the US, we did not get this update last year, and that is the adjustable frequency dampers. So I really hope we see that this year in the US because that will prevent some of the body roll that we see with this car. It does wallow a little bit in corners and it can be a little too floaty sometimes. So I hope they introduce this change and help stiffen up the suspension just a little bit, because after driving the EV6 and driving the Mustang Mach-E recently, I do really like that those cars ride just a little bit firmer than the Ioniq 5 does today. And obviously, I really hope for a permanent price drop across the board. Now, very recently, the European division of Hyundai announced they weren't going to chase Tesla's price drops. They think the cars are priced fairly. But here in the US, I really hope we see price drops to compete with the likes of Tesla. The Model Y is almost an unbeatable value right now, especially since it can still get the $7,500 tax credit, which the Ioniq 5 does not get unless you do a lease and a lease buyout, which can be a bit of a hassle. A lot of people don't want to go through that hassle, so I would really love to see USB-C ports throughout the car as well. The EV6 has it, the Kona Electric has it, the EV9 has them, all these new cars have them. The Ioniq 5 desperately needs USB-C. I'm sick of still using USB-As in this car. Everything else I own runs on USB-C, so I don't get it. They really need to change that for 2024. All right, so let's get a little more specific with what I want to see trim by trim level. So for the SE trim, the base trim here in the United States, I would love to see it get a heated steering wheel as well as a wireless charging pad standard. All right, so let's get a little more specific with what I want to see trim by trim level. So for the SE trim, the base trim here in the United States, I would love to see it get a heated steering wheel as well as a wireless charging pad standard. Priced in the high 40,000s, I really think this car at a minimum should have a heated steering wheel. With EVs, you want to eke out as much efficiency as possible, and conduction is a much more efficient way of heating something than convection. So using a heated steering wheel versus the ducting in your car is going to save a lot of energy in the long run. So I really think that the base model should at the very least come with the heated steering wheel. And I think on top of that, the wireless charging pad can't possibly cost Hyundai all that much, maybe $5-10 to put into the car. So I really think they should also add that as standard. Now let's talk about my trim, the SEL trim. Here in the US, the SEL is the middle trim between the SE and the Limited, and I love this trim of the car. It's very well featured, but there are some niceties from the Limited trim that I would like to see here on the SEL. The first is a power passenger seat. And at the very least, they should add lumbar to the passenger seat because lumbar support is very important for a lot of people with back issues. Now, I would also like to see an upgraded audio system here in the SEL. It can be the 8-speaker sound system from the Limited trim, or maybe for 2024, they'll even design a whole new sound system. I highly doubt that, but that would be really cool too because both systems are kind of mediocre. But I would really like to see at least 8 speakers here in the SEL trim. Now let's talk about the SEL Premium trim. This is my dream trim of the Ioniq 5, and I think Hyundai desperately needs to bridge the gap between the SEL and the Limited trim. Currently in the US, the price difference between an SE and an SEL is only $2,000. When stepping from the SEL to the Limited trim, you're talking $5,000. That is a significant price jump to the Limited trim, and that's also one of the main factors why I didn't get a Limited trim, is it was just too much more expensive versus the SEL. I couldn't justify that big of a price jump. So here's my dream trim, SEL Premium. Hyundai already offers an SEL Premium trim line in the Hyundai Santa Cruz pickup truck. So there's no reason they couldn't do the same for the Ioniq 5. They already do it in other vehicles. So what does my SEL Premium trim have? Well, it has everything that the SEL already has, and it also has memory seats. It gets the upgraded lighting system that was on my 2022 trim, but taken out for the 2023 model year. That would be the mustache accent lighting, the all LED headlamps. So I would like to see that in the SEL Premium trim. I would also like to see the ventilated seats as well as the heads-up display on the SEL Premium. And now I could take or leave either one of these, and that would be the backseat vehicle to load adapter under the back seat or the surround view camera system. I don't really have a preference. I would take either or. Now let's discuss the Limited trim. I don't really think the Limited trim needs much tweaking. It has every bell and whistle that the car can come with. The only thing I will say is that if it doesn't have a rear wiper for 2024, then the Limited trim here in the US should at least have the rear camera system where you have a digital mirror similar to what GM puts in a lot of their cars, where you actually see the camera view displayed here in the rear view mirror. So I think they need to do that if they're not going to add a rear wiper. I don't think the Limited trim has really any major emissions other than a really good sound system. So I would like to see the Limited trim also get a better sound system for the 2024 model year. So that's my wish list for 2024. Let me know in the comment section what you guys want to see for the 2024 model year. I'm sure there's going to be some interesting takes on that. So I've owned my Ioniq 5 for going on 18 months now. Expect an 18-month review pretty soon. But I'm kind of getting to the point now where if 2024 has some significant updates, I'm probably going to trade this car in and get a 2024. Depends on what the changes are. If there's not much meaningful change that takes place, I'll probably end up hanging on to my SEL for another year. It is about halfway through its life cycle. Most car life cycles are about 6 years before they're completely redesigned. So I would expect this year or next year to see some significant mid-cycle changes to the Ioniq 5 just to freshen it up and keep it competitive. So I'd also like to show you guys a new product in my store. And this is a 3D printed cup holder enlarger specifically made for the front cup holders of the Ioniq 5. Now this product was inspired by my girlfriend's gigantic 40-ounce water bottle that doesn't fit in this cup holder. So I designed this and I 3D print it, and this accommodates most 32 or 40-ounce water bottles like Hydro flasks that are 3.5 inches in diameter. So if you're gonna purchase one of these, make sure you check the diameter of your water bottle first, because it might just be a little too big to fit in this comfortably. Now I did engineer this so that there is a tiny bit of wiggle room so that it does slide in and slide out pretty easily, but at the same time, it is also very sturdy. So it's not gonna fall out if you stop really quickly or accelerate in sport mode. These are 3D printed in PETG. They're heat resistant, UV resistant, so they should hold up for quite a while in your Ioniq 5. What makes my design unique is even if you're not using your big 40-ounce water bottle, you can still fit a regular 24-ounce water bottle in the same cup holder. I did also design it to utilize the clips in the cup holder, and they keep the cup holder adapter firmly in place. It's not going to pull out no matter what until you push those clips in and then pull it out. So if you guys are interested in purchasing one, I have a single pack or a double pack for a discount at ioniqguy.com, or in the video description below, I will have links to purchase. If you're based outside of the United States, please use the links to my Etsy store to purchase. So anyway, guys, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed today's video, give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care, everybody.